Ardmore Message Service.
This is Mr. Bourne. Any messages?
Yes, Mr. Bourne. I have several messages for you. Just a moment.
Okay, baby. Now, wait a minute. Now, listen to me.
Mr. Bourne! Mr. Bourne, are you all right?
The day. I'd gotten up with a slight headache and conquered it only to find a desk full of king-sized headaches at the office. I was almost grateful when the phone rang. Oh, hello, Mrs. Allison. How are you? Where? I'll be right over.
I realize this has been very trying, but Mrs. Allison, won't you at least tell me...
Lieutenant? Oh, Helen.
Hi, Herb. Welcome aboard.
Hello, Herbert. Good of you to come so quickly.
What's this all about?
The building security officer heard a gunshot, ran in here, found Mrs. Allison with a murdered man, Harry Bourne, a private detective.
You needn't ask, Herbert. I didn't kill him.
Then why don't you tell me what you were doing here?
Because, forgive me, Lieutenant, my reasons are none of your business.
Helen, a man has been murdered.
Exactly. Herbert, you know I'm not a vindictive person. But Mr. Bourne was an evil, vicious man. Whoever killed him did society and me a great favor.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Allison. You leave me no choice except to hold you in custody.
Lieutenant, why don't you let me talk to her alone?
That won't be necessary. I can only tell you what I told the lieutenant. I was found, as he says, at the scene of the crime. And I must admit, in all honesty, I hated Harry Bourne.
Oh, Lieutenant.
Yeah. Mrs. Allison, did Harry Bourne ever work for you?
Yes. He collected the evidence necessary for my divorce. Mr. Maris knows all about that.
Did he ever try to blackmail you in any way?
Lieutenant, I will not discuss that man any further.
I'm sorry, Herbert. I'm going to have to hold her. Joe.
Herbert, will you tell Alice? I'd rather she heard about it from a friend.
Of course. And I'll be down to see you as soon as I can.
Thank you.
Did you handle her divorce?
No, but her husband told me about it. He cooperated.
I see. Well, Herb, was it clean?
As clean as divorce can be. I'll tell you this, she didn't kill Bourne.
Maybe, but she's the best I've got. You know, the DA's funny about things like this. He doesn't like me to turn the suspect loose until he's convinced of their innocence. Oh, Baker, take care of the files in there, will you?
Okay.
Having fun?
Who are you?
Let's put it this way. Who are you?
Lieutenant Weston, police. What's your name?
What do I win if I tell
I'll tell you what you win if you don't. A free trip downtown.
You're the police. I'm Lauren Baudret, Harry Bourne's secretary. What's he done now?
He got himself killed. What's your address, Miss Baudret?
1312 Glen Road.
Coincidence. Harry Bourne, residence 1312 Glen Road, apartment C. And I suppose your apartment is...
D, Lieutenant, and he was a lovely neighbor. Tell me, did you say you were from the police or the Boy Scouts?
Miss Baudret, we're only interested in finding a murderer. Can you give us the names of anyone who might have disliked him enough to kill him?
Are you a cop, too?
No, I'm an attorney. My name is Maris.
Mr. Maris, Harry Bourne was a private detective. I suppose you've already discovered that most of his work was divorce cases. Could be somebody who didn't like him decided to stop him.
Like who?
Look, whatever Harry Bourne was mixed up in, I don't know anything about it.
You were his secretary, weren't you?
What's that supposed to mean?
Miss Baldry, all we want are the names of the people who might have threatened him.
I wouldn't know.
You suppose a little time in the city jail might help refresh your memory?
Well, you might talk to Jake Neal. And there was some dame called Allison, Helen Allison. She had a fit on the phone the other day. That's all I know.
I picked up 3 telephone messages from Bourne's answering service, Miss Baudry. Helen Allison, Bourne's wife. And a man named Harvey called her. But there's no file on him.
What? So it could be a new client. He just never mentioned him to me. Now, look, could I please just clean up this office now, huh?
Let me see. So. Well, Herb, we can check out Neal, Bourne's wife, and this call the guy while Baker's going through those files.
Who's Jake Neal?
Oh, he's a hoodlum with a long record of arrests, suspected of bookmaking, arson, and murder. We've never been able to make any of the charges stick. We'll start with him.
How about a drink?
We want to talk to you about Harry Bourne.
That punk? Surprised me if he didn't wind up with a bullet in his head one of these days.
He just did.
So right away you come to see Jake Neal, huh?
What was your beef with him?
You got the wrong guy, Lieutenant. We was friends.
Thought he was a punk.
All my friends are punks. Now, Harry, he had the bad habit of borrowing money from people, you know? That's no way to build up a good credit rating.
Was Bourne blackmailing you?
You boys just aren't listening.
Well, listening. Where were you at noon today?
Me? Right here. Ask the kid, she'll tell you.
I'll bet she will. What about your boys?
Boys? Come on, Lieutenant. You know I don't have any children.
All right, Jay. We'll be back to see you.
Anytime. Always willing, ready to help. Do my duty as a citizen.
Let's go see Calder.
All right, Bird Brain. Come on back and I'll learn you how to play 7-card stud.
No, I don't think I know the man.
He's a private detective, Mr. Calder.
Oh? Well, I'm sorry, Lieutenant. I never heard the name.
We have your telephone message to him, Mr. Calder.
Really, Mr. Morris,
We have no desire to pry into your private life, but this has to do with murder.
Murder? Then, of course, gentlemen, I will cooperate. But I must ask that what I say be held in strict confidence.
Whatever you say will be forgotten as soon as we leave. Yeah, unless it concerns this case.
It's not easy for me. You see, I'm married to a woman who is somewhat younger than I am. And lately I felt that she'd become a trifle restless. To be honest, I suspect there might be someone else. Oh, I hired Mr. Bourne to investigate. There was no thought of divorce because I love my wife. But banks are stuffy institutions, and you can see why I wouldn't like to have my marital difficulties bruited about.
Oh, we're sorry about this. We appreciate you telling us, but you can be sure it'll go no further.
I'm sure of it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Calder, and good luck.
Thank you.
Mrs. Bourne? Police.
What's Harry done now?
Well, what makes you think it's about him?
You're not selling tickets to a policeman's ball. It's about Harry.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Bourne. But he's dead.
Fine.
Mrs. Bourne, your husband was murdered.
When you say husband, mister, Use the word lightly. I was married to him, period.
Did he ever mention any of his clients to you?
You kidding? Haven't talked to him in weeks. When I did, it wasn't about business.
But you telephoned him today, Mrs. Bourne. Why?
He promised to take our oldest boy, Joey, to the zoo. Joey was counting on it. Harry was very big on promises, so I just wanted to see if he was going to keep this one.
Where were you about noon today?
Right here, washing diapers.
Were there any witnesses?
Anytime you can get an audience to watch me washing diapers, I'll be happy to charge admission and let you count the ticket stubs. I can use the money.
I know this is none of my business, Mrs. Bourne, but what will you do now? I mean, did your husband leave you any insurance?
I don't know. He always kept his personal papers in the office safe.
Well, we went through his office, Mrs. Bourne. We didn't find any safe.
Maybe he was lying about that, too, like he did about everything else. It'd be just like him. All I know is what he told me.
Mrs. Bourne, do you have a phone?
Yeah.
May I use it?
Sure. Come on, I'll show you where it is.
Baker. Yes, sir, Lieutenant. Right. Bye. That was Lieutenant Weston. He said until he gets back here, nothing is to leave this office, including you.
How jolly. Shall we make up some games we can play?
Sorry. I'm busy.
The more you know about Mr. Bourne, the more you find to love. Where are you going, back to the office?
Yeah, I want to find out about that safe. But first, I think I'll talk to Calder again.
What for?
Well, I got a hunch that Bourne's big income was blackmail. You know, Jake Neal doesn't lend money to just anybody who asks for it, and Mrs. Allison pulled up too quick when I asked her about it. Could be he was blackmailing Calder.
Well, drop me off at the cab stand, will you? I should have talked to Mrs. Allison's daughter before this. I don't want her getting the news from some happy gossip monger.
Okay,
Say, Lieutenant.
Have you any idea who did it? I thought I might get in touch with their lawyers. I'm sure I could sway the jury.
We're holding a woman, Helen Allison, one of your husband's clients. Mr. Maris is her attorney.
What do you know? So Mrs. Allison was one of his clients, huh? Life is just one big bowl of irony.
Do you know Mrs. Allison?
You might say that. She rang my doorbell a couple of weeks ago. I took one look at the furs, the jewelry, the limousine, and all the jazz, and I said, well, charity at last.
What'd she want?
She wanted to talk to me as a mother. It seems we had a mutual problem. Harry was stalking her little fawn. He wanted to marry her.
Alice?
That's right. She wanted me to influence Harry. I'm afraid I dashed all her hopes.
Did she make any threats?
She didn't have to. Now that I think of it, I'm surprised she didn't kill him sooner.
Thank you, Mrs. Bourne.
Oh, Mr. Maris, if there's anything I can do for her, get in touch with me, huh?
Oh, thanks, Mrs. Bourne. You've already made an enormous contribution.
I hope so.
Well, not so well. At least for my client. Allison was a girl with a wide variety of interests. I wasn't surprised to track her down at a ballet studio. But I found it as difficult as Mrs. Allison did to reconcile her interest in Harry Bourne. And I didn't look forward to probing for the details.
Mr. Maris.
Alice, I've got some bad news for you. It's about your mother.
Mother?
A man by the name of Harry Bourne was killed today. Your mother's being held by the police.
No.
Alice, I know about Harry's interest in you.
It's all my fault. Mr. Maris, you've got to do something.
Well, I will as soon as you tell me what this is all about.
Do you remember when Mother got her divorce?
Yes?
Harry Bourne was the man who got the evidence. That's when I met him. He was charming in an offbeat kind of way. He was good-looking and exciting, and I'd never met anybody like him before. I guess I'd just run out of things to be interested in.
You dated him?
Mother found out and hit the roof. I didn't have enough sense to stop. I kept seeing him secretly.
How long did this go on?
3 or 4 weeks.
What stopped it?
I had to grow up sooner or later. And Mr. Bourne made it sooner. One night, we took a long drive to the beach. It started to rain, really rain. The car developed some kind of motor trouble or so, he said. Anyway, we stopped at a motel, and Harry went inside to phone for help.
And when he came out, he said it would take a little while for the mechanic to get there. Meanwhile, he'd rented a room where you could be comfortable while you waited.
Guess I'm not very bright. I agreed. Then he tried to kiss me. When I resisted, he became ugly. I threatened to walk out into the rain if necessary.
Alice, I'm sorry to put you through this.
It's all right. I just as soon get it off my chest. Harry pleaded with me to marry him. Said he was madly in love with me. Well, I didn't know he was already married till he said he'd get rid of his wife if I said yes. About 3 o'clock, a man finally came and did something to the car, and Harry took me home. It was horrible. But at least I'd learned a lesson. I was through with him.
But Harry wasn't through with you, was he?
He called Mother. He told her my name was on the motel register with his. He wanted money to keep quiet, or else he said he'd create a terrible scandal. Oh, you've got to believe me, Mr. Maris. It wasn't true. Nothing happened.
Alice, look. I believe you.
Anyway, Mother paid him. I think she hoped Harry would take the money and go away.
Blackmailers never do.
He came back again for more money, so she paid him.
After that, he came back again.
By this time, even Mother realized he'd never stop. She went to his office to tell him if he bothered her again, she was going to the police.
And when she got there, he was dead.
She didn't do it, Mr. Maris. You know, Mother, you know she couldn't.
Alice, we both know it. Somehow, we've got to make the police know it.
John, you don't know her the way I do. Helen Allison couldn't possibly kill anybody. Look, Herb, I'm only a policeman. All I do is collect evidence. The district attorney takes it from there. And you know as well as I do, this is exactly the kind of evidence he's looking for.
What did Calder have to say?
Herb, that's a funny thing. What does a somewhat younger woman mean to you?
Try that again.
Oh, do you remember Harvey Calder saying he was married to a somewhat younger woman that he thought was playing around?
So?
Calder wasn't home, but I talked with Mrs. Calder. You know, she's beyond the point of being embarrassed at revealing her age. You know, she admits to 55 years old, 3 years younger than her husband.
3 years. That is somewhat less than somewhat younger.
You see what I mean? And another thing, I couldn't quite picture her playing around.
Because she's 55. I think Miss Roby was right. You're a Boy Scout at heart.
Well, maybe. It's kind of hard to believe. She answered the door in a wheelchair.
Let's see if we can find that safe.
How long do I have to stay cooped up in this morgue?
Not too long. Find anything exciting?
Not a thing. Looks like straight divorce stuff.
Well, what'd you expect to find?
I'll let you know as soon as you open the safe.
What safe?
Why do you have to do everything the hard way?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Miss Baudry, I'll find that safe if I have to bring a crew in here and tear this office apart piece by piece. You listen to me. Now, if you cooperate, you're going to make things easier on everybody, especially you.
Look, I don't know what Harry was doing. You want cooperation? All right, I'll cooperate. But I don't want to get mixed up in anything else.
You know, the more you talk, the more anxious I am to see what's in that safe. Let's find it, huh?
It's in the inner office.
All right. After you.
Now remember, I'm not mixed up in any of this.
Miss Baudry, you certainly do try a man's patience. Open it. Jake Neal.
You were right about the blackmail.
Helen Allison.
I told you about that.
Two pretty good payments there, Herb.
Let's go. Headquarters, by.
Pursuit of a red car, sports car, license number.
Headquarters, by.
Calder's trying for the flood control project. There are only 4 or 5 exits in 20 miles. Then he hits the ocean. Block those exits.
Need that.
Get your hands behind your back.
If ever a man deserved to be killed, it was Harry Bourne.
Your story was a lie, wasn't it?
Not quite. I hired him to investigate a girl, a friend of mine. I suspected there might be someone else in her life. There was. I was content to let it go, but Bourne wouldn't have it that way.
He was blackmailing you, wasn't he?
He threatened to take his information to my wife. And Mrs. Calder had strong ideas about morality. If she had known, she would have left me.
And the scandal would have ruined you at the bank, so Bourne had to go.
Now it's your turn.